Hey guys, I wanted to make this video because a lot of people were having some trouble with their pronoun IXLs, so I thought I would do a little lesson and go through a few of the IXL examples with you. And then also on top of that, I will post another Zoom link today for anyone who needs help. I posted one yesterday, but only one person took advantage of that, so that was a little disappointing, but anyway, I will post it again. So here we go. Let's go ahead and just look at what I have typed up here. It says pronouns take the place of nouns. See this paragraph. All right, listen to this. This sounds crazy. Mrs. Harden was tired of remote learning. Mrs. Harden did like sleeping in later, but Mrs. Harden didn't like not being able to help Mrs. Harden's students easily. Also, Mrs. Harden became frustrated when students would not ask Mrs. Harden for help, but instead would just not do their work. Mrs. Harden will be glad when school gets back to normal, so Mrs. Harden and Mrs. Harden's students can get back to teaching and learning the best way, in person. Amen to that, right? All right, so that sounds totally crazy. So I have the same paragraph down here that we're going to revise. We're going to take out all those Mrs. Hardens. You need the one to start with so that the person reading it knows who you're talking about. But once you've established who it's about, you don't need to keep saying their name over and over and over again. So let's revise that. Mrs. Harden was tired of remote learning. Mrs. Harden. All right, so instead of using Mrs. Harden here, I'm going to put she. She did like sleeping in later. Yes, I do. But she didn't like. All right, let's put she again. We're going to be using she a lot since I'm a female, obviously. But she didn't like not being able to help blank students. Now, I'm not going to say she students. That wouldn't make sense. So I need a different pronoun that's going to show possession, that's going to show it's students that belong to me. So we're going to use the pronoun her. Okay. Okay, so, but she didn't like not being able to help her students easily. Yes, that makes sense. Okay, moving on. Also, Mrs. Harden became frustrated. Okay, so again, I can use she. She is a subject pronoun, so anytime you're at the beginning of a sentence, you're definitely going to use the she if it's female. Also, she became frustrated when students would not ask Mrs. Harden for help. All right, instead of saying would not ask Mrs. Harden for help, we could say would not ask her for help. You wouldn't want to use she here toward the end of a sentence because she's a subject pronoun. Her is an object pronoun, so it's going to be used at the end part of a sentence. And you can just tell because it sounds better. All right, so let me reread that sentence. Also, she became frustrated when students would not ask her for help. Okay. But instead would just not do their work. Now, I know that would be none of you that are watching this video. You obviously care or you wouldn't be watching it, right? All right, Mrs. Harden will be glad when school gets back to normal. All right, well, we already know we're talking about me because we put that in the first sentence, so we can just use she again. She will be glad when school gets back to normal, so she, again, and her students, she and her students can get back to teaching and learning the best way in person. All right, so let me reread the whole thing because anytime you do something like this, you always want to read it and just make sure everything you chose sounds right. If not, you may have chosen the wrong word. Mrs. Harden was tired of remote learning. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. She did not, or she did like sleeping in later, but she didn't like not being able to help her students easily. Also, she became frustrated when students would not ask her for help, but instead would just not do their work. She will be glad when school gets back to normal, so she and her students can get back to teaching and learning the best way in person. All right. So I was being a little silly with that paragraph, but anyway, This chart here I think would be helpful, and I'm going to put this in your Google Classroom just kind of as a reminder as what are the pronouns. Or, and you could open it up in another tab while you're doing your IXLs, or you could even just jot this little chart down on a piece of paper and have that next to you while you do your IXLs if you need it. But the subject pronouns, these are the ones that you're going to use in the beginning parts of a sentence, okay? They're going to be your I, she, he, it, we, they, and you. I think I remembered them all. Okay, the object pronouns are the ones that are going to sound the best in the end part of a sentence, like after the action word, after the verb. Me, her, him, it, us, them, and you. And you'll notice that you and it are the only ones that would make sense either at the beginning or at the end. So those are, super easy because you can use them anywhere basically. The others, if you put them in the wrong spot, it's just not going to sound right when you read the sentence, and you will see that. All right, so switching gears, the one IXL that was LL6 is about possessive pronouns. And that kind of goes along with what we were doing when we were learning about your and their and its, because those are possessive pronouns. So that's why I wanted to throw that in there this week. So here's some examples. Possessive pronouns show that something belongs to someone. All right, so I've bolded them here. The purse is hers. Hers is a possessive pronoun. It's telling that something belongs to this person. That is her purse. So sometimes you can use them different places. Hers would be at the end, and her is what you're going to use right in front of the noun purse. All right, so you just go with what sounds appropriate. It's kind of self-explanatory. Is just seeing what sounds the best. All right, the pencil is his. That is his pencil. Okay, his is a possessive pronoun. The dog spilled its water. We've talked quite a bit about this word recently. Its is possessive. It's showing that something belongs to this it here, which in this case is a dog. Your is also a possessive pronoun that shows something belongs to you. I graded your paper. The paper is yours. Their, THEIR, is a possessive pronoun that means something belongs to them. I saw their video. The video is theirs. All right. So those are some examples. So let me pull up some of these IXLs. I feel like LL1 is pretty simple. If you were to write those pronouns down that I just had in that chart and on a piece of paper and have those beside you or have them in another tab, honestly, I think the paper would be the easiest. Then all you have to do is find them in the sentence, okay? So select the pronoun, all right? Well, her is going to be the pronoun, all right? So if you have a list of pronouns handy, this is super, super easy here, okay? Obviously, if you skim over these words, you is going to be the pronoun. I mean, honestly, you don't even need to read the sentences for LL1. Skim over and look for the pronoun. It's going to be him. Did I put him in the chart? Let me look. I did. Okay. Sometimes I doubt myself. Cowboys put saddle. Okay, them is the pronoun. All right, so LL1 is super easy. If you have your list of pronouns handy, you can just zoom right through that one. All right, let's look at LL2. I guess I should have made this video earlier. I guess I just didn't realize that this was going to be as hard for some of you. I've been doing this for so many years. Sometimes I don't realize it's harder for someone that hasn't been doing it for 30 years, right? Silly me. Okay. Let's look here. Now, this is where that subject and object comes into play, because you kind of have to look at what part of the sentence it's in. All right. If it's the beginning part of the sentence, you need the subject pronoun. If the blank is at the end of the sentence, you're going to need the object pronoun. Usually, you can just tell by what sounds best, honestly. So I froze at the side of the snake, or me froze at the sight of the snake on the ground. Obviously, I is going to sound better there. Okay. Her convinced her friends to stay at the dance, or she convinced her friends to stay at the dance. Obviously, it's going to be she. Now, if you had that list of subject and object pronouns, that could be helpful here because you would know if the blank is at the beginning of a sentence, you're going to choose a subject pronoun. You would know if the blank is later on in the sentence or even at the very end, it's going to be a object pronoun. All right. Him dyed his hair purple for Halloween, or he dyed his hair purple for Halloween. Obviously, it's going to be he. All right, submit. There we go. One more example on this one. They enjoyed discussing, I cannot talk. They enjoyed discussing history, art, and music, or them enjoyed discussing history, art, and music. Obviously, it's they. All right, so that's how you do LL2. It's fairly simple too. Most of the problems people have been having have been on LL3 and LL6. So let's dive in here on LL3, where you're replacing the noun with a personal pronoun. Again, having that chart handy will be helpful. All right, so we're looking for a pronoun that would take the place of the dancers. So it's not just talking about a girl or a boy. It's not going to be a she or a he. It's a whole group of people, all right? The dancers move swiftly onto the stage. You're going to have to write they, and you're going to have to capitalize it if it's at the beginning of the sentence because IXL will count it wrong if you don't. They're very, very picky about these things. And you also have to spell it right. All right, so we'll submit that. All right, Emily and I. So Emily and I fell on the slippery ice. So it's another person and yourself. So that's going to be we, all right, because you're included in that, but another person's also in it. So you kind of really have to think about what it's saying, who's involved here, right? We fell on the slippery ice is going to be the pronoun you use here. Okay, my classmates and I will use this encyclopedia. Nobody uses those anymore. My classmates and I. So again, you're going to use we for that pronoun because you're part of it, plus some other folks are part of that subject. Okay. In a garage in 1976, Steve Jobs built the first Apple computer. That's true, actually. And we know he's a guy, so that's going to be a he. All right. The eyelid protects the front part of the eye. Well, it's not a boy or a girl, it's just a thing, so we're going to go with it. It protects the front part of the eye. Capitalize it at the beginning of the sentence. All right. In art class, we will make candles by melting crayons. So we're going to make, it can't be it because there's more than one, right? There's candles. So we're going to say them. We will make them by melting crayons. The newborn bear cub weighed less than a pound. Well, a bear cub is going to be an it if we don't know any better. Okay. Sarah asks, can Sarah decorate the chocolate cake? Well, she's asking about herself. So she's going to say, can I, right? Make sure you capitalize the pronoun I, though. Here we go. The magician astonished Brian and me with his tricks. Oh, he astonished Brian, but me also. So we're going to use us. He astonished us with his tricks. Born in Alabama, Nat King Cole was a jazz singer and piano player. Well, that's a guy, if you didn't know. That one's kind of tricky because if you didn't know any better, you might not know that was a guy. I'm not a fan of that question, honestly. So we're going to go with he. All right. Will you help your nephew with the arithmetic problem? Well, a nephew's a boy. So you'll say, will you help him? You're not going to say, will you help he? That wouldn't make sense here. Will you help him? All right. The reporter took a picture of the pilot and me. So we're going to have to use us here. The reporter took a picture of us. You're included in it, but so is the pilot, right? I think as you do, just keep doing these, it becomes a little more obvious. On the planet Mercury, Days are even longer than years. So days, we could say, we could take the place of days here. It, no, because there's more than one. So we're going to say they, which still sounds awkward to me, but it is the right answer. Sometimes using pronouns, honestly, isn't the best because sometimes it may not be clear who you're talking about. So it's not always a good idea to use pronouns, but as you saw in my earlier example, sometimes they're necessary to keep from repeating yourself. The blood in your body travels through your heart once a minute. So a pronoun that could take the place of your heart would be the word it. It's a thing, and that's only one, right? All right, so those are some examples of LL3. I'm going to go ahead and look at LL6. Actually, I think LL3 was the hardest one, just because some of the examples are some of the words they choose are not that natural sounding, maybe. So you really have to think about them. All right. Now, these are the possessive pronouns, like, that belong to people, or, yeah, belong to people, or in some cases, they belong to a thing. Those saddles belong to Felix and Reba, so belongs to two people. They are their saddles, all right? Belongs to those two people. T-H-E-R-R, you got to spell it right. That turtle belongs to you. It is your, Y-O-U-R, turtle. Your turtle belongs to you. Okay, that computer belongs to him. It is his computer. All right, those badges belong to us. They are our badges. Hey, I forgot that on my example. I need to add that back in there. Yes, if they belong to us, they are ours, okay? They were our badges. That store belongs to me. The store is, oh, here's another one I forgot to put on my examples. The store is mine. It belongs to me. Okay. That room belongs to her. It is her room. And these, I think, are even a little easier even than LL3 was, just because a lot of times you can just tell what makes sense there to say if you read it carefully. If you have trouble reading it, hopefully you've got the little speaker there to help you. That glove belongs to Mr. Martin. The glove is his. His. All right. Those rackets belong to these boys. So it's belonging to more than one person, okay? These boys. So the rackets are theirs. Theirs. All right, so that's that. So hopefully that's helping some of you as I've done some examples for you. And if you need further help, I will put the Zoom in and hopefully you will Zoom me. And if I don't see that you join my Zoom meeting, because sometimes I get busy with other things and I don't look at my phone because my phone will notify me. But for whatever reason, I'm deaf or blind or whatever, shoot me an email, keep bugging me, and eventually I will see it. But hopefully I will try to be super observant and check my phone frequently to see if you've joined it. So, all right. You guys take care. I think we have a 4-day weekend, so that's pretty awesome, and we get a nice little break. And so, if you are behind, you have 4 days to get caught up. That's the good news. And even though we're all supposed to be off for 4 days, but if you really need me, I'll be here, and you can certainly reach out, and I will be glad to help you guys. Okay, so you have an awesome time. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys next week, hopefully. All right. Get out of this thing. How do I do that? Okay. I always have trouble stopping it. All right.